pictures and see him today. And Brian is going to speak about it, what happened to him. Savagely beaten. Show these pictures. Show these pictures of Brian. Stomped on, chest, laceration in his head, black eyes, all because he didn't want to wash his hair when he was brought into the jail. Brian was afraid to come forward because he hadn't seen justice and he's seen retaliation. But he was brave enough to stand forward and say, enough is enough. Zaire, young, Muslim, observing Ramadan, just answering the question, not trying to do anything out of the norm, breaking the rules. Officer beat him, bruised him, injured him, swelled his face up. That officer was recently charged. This is not a case of a one-off. We have other cases. Mr. NAACP president right now is trying to get access to an inmate when a district attorney Huggins has just invoked the Georgia Bureau investigation in that case. Trying to get access to speak to him because apparently he was beaten also. And we also have other cases that's currently in the federal courts. Adam Drummond, what Mr. Drummond picture is that? Mr. Drummond. Adam Drummond, right here. Beaten. What other picture of Mr. Drummond? Another picture of him. Somewhere. Laceration maybe over. Bring it up. Lacerations on his head. Blood, so bloody, they had to mop his blood up. Currently, federal lawsuit going on. This is not an incident, one-off incident. It's happened over the span of years. We have asked the Department of Justice to come in to investigate this matter. This is the type of agency where the Department of Justice need to come in and possibly take over, revamp, change policies. These are incidents that ultimately is going to lead to somebody to lose their life. So happened Mr. Drummond didn't bleed to death. Happened Zaire suffered brain injury. And Mr. Fletcher, and the individual that's in the jail right now.
No blood thinners and had this on at the time.
Well, I'll give you a chance to speak about it. He's gonna talk about it. I'm gonna have President NAACP Tim Bessett Sr. come up. I'm gonna have Mr. Raffler and Mr. Fletcher speak about what happened to them inside the jail.
Good morning, media. Thank you for being here again. And here we are again. We're still saying enough is enough. The question comes to mind, what has to happen in the Camden County Jail? Does someone have to ultimately lose their life before something be done, before people be removed from their position inside the Camden County Jail? This is systemic. It has been going on for quite some time now. And like Attorney Daniel said, it's not a one-all, and it's over with. And so we're asking that, again, that the Department of Justice come in and look into this department. There are numerous of inmates that have filed complaints. Complaints go unnoticed. Complaints go in the trash. And it's time for change within this department. Our community is stepping forth, and we're saying it's time to hold someone accountable. Jail administrator, hold him accountable for what's being allowed inside the Camden County Jail. Enough is enough. Mr. Daniels.
All right. Mr. Zaire Raffler, he's going to explain and tell you what happened. I know a lot of y'all reported stories on this case, but I appreciate his bravery to come here today and hold questions. After they speak, I would take some questions. Go ahead, Zaire.
Okay, so on March 24th, around 11 o'clock, the officer came in for count, and we kind of got into a verbal altercation because he was telling me to get out the phone. It was count time. usually they allow you to stay on the phone and while they wake the other inmates up so you don't waste your money. On this day, he was just kind of, his attitude, his energy was kind of off with me. So then he made a comment about something about assaulting me. And because I noticed on March 14th, he assaulted another inmate in front of me. And I told him, like, basically, if he assaulted me, I have the right to defend myself. And he told me, buck like that inmate did, and I'm gonna show you. I said, I'm not gonna do anything to give you a reason to harm me. So he left out. He then came back like between 11 and 11:30, and he stated like he was doing trades. I came to the door to ask a question. He told me get out of line. He told me to get out of line. I'm not supposed to get a trade because it's Ramadan. I told him I wasn't there for a trade. I'm not getting a trade. And then he told me get out my face. No, he said get out my face. And I'm standing there, and then he was like, he said it again. Then he said, hold on, I got something for you. He then proceeded to go get another officer, and when he opened up the door, that's when he tried to like grab me and pull me out the door, but ended up pushing me in the door, swinging on me, and then he tossed me to the ground, sat in my chest, and began to strike me in my face multiple times. The other officer ran into the dorm and told him to stop, and she got him off me, and then she proceeded to handcuff me and take me up front. They didn't take me to medical or give me medical attention. I had to wait 3 hours for medical attention while inside of a cell. Then they told me if I continued to keep asking that they were going to lock me in the chair. When the nurse...
Let me say something here. You can continue. The officer you was referring to, what's his name?
Ja'Cory Anderson.
Ja'Cory Anderson. That's the officer that was in fact arrested and charged. But let me interject here. He was only given a 1-day suspension.
Yes.
A 1-day suspension. All right. It's Jared Hobbs. Nothing. In fact, they accused Jared Hobbs of assaulting them. He was given a 1-day suspension. How can a sheriff, jail administrator, give somebody a 1-day suspension that committed a criminal felonious act? How can that happen? Bad orchard. Hey, let me have Mr. Okay, go ahead, Mr.
And after Mr. Ratliff's incident, it was not until after I made contact with District Attorney Higgins and asked him to look at this video. And then that's when Mr. Higgins asked the GBI to get involved, and that's when the charges came with Mr. Anderson. So up until that point, like Attorney Daniel said, it was just 1-day suspension, close our eyes, and made like it never happened.
Right. And I want y'all to see something here. Take an observation. This ain't no black and white thing. No. This ain't no old and young thing. All right. They are beating people indiscriminately inside this jail. You have white officers beating blacks. You have white officers being whites, blacks being blacks. This case is not about finances. Like Ms. Besser said, it's all a matter of time. It's a ticking bomb. To all of the national media beating out here, we're trying to prevent that from happening. And that's why we're here for truth and transparency and get justice. Mr. Fletcher, you want to come up and speak?
Yes, sir.
This is Brian Fletcher. His incident took place May of 2021.
Yeah. Basically, they told me to go take a shower, which I did, and then the officer asked me to wash my hair, and of course, you see I got long hair. I didn't want to watch it. Well, I went to get out. He jumped me. That's what happened. They put me in a chair for 2 hours, and I'm on blood thinner, so I sit in the chair and bled for 2 hours and sitting in that deep of blood before they took me out. And never got me medical attention. Put me in a cell. Basically what happened.
Tell them about your head. Something on your chest.
Tell them what happened. So the bruises you got to...
Oh yeah, that's when after they done that, that's about all I remember. I think they knocked me out, and then they started stomping me.
Yeah.
And
That's a boot mark on your chest.
I had a boot mark across my chest, the boot mark. My foot was totally black and blue.
And then where they grabbed you? Where they grabbed you?
Yeah,
That's where they grabbed you and threw you against the wall.
This is wife over here.
And this is where I still have the scar where all the blood was coming from, and they wouldn't even put a bandage on it or give me something to wipe my face.
And look, I'm standing beside Mr. Fletcher. He's middle age. What can he do? Young thugs with badges beating him senseless till he's unconscious. Put him inside a restraint chair, bleeding, blood. It's a matter of time. Mr. Drummond, Shane Wake, beating him. Tried to cover up. When the person that's involved who did the investigation, she was terminated. Now she has a whistleblower lawsuit going on right now. This is a systemic environment, a culture of criminality. The sheriff office is supposed to be the chief investigator, chief officer in Camden County to prevent crime. How the hell are you gonna prevent crime? You got criminals on your own roof and you on your payroll.
That's right.
Don't work like that. With that being said, I'm gonna open up for questions. If a question is answered to one of Mr. Fletcher, Mr. Ratliff, I would direct as to whether they should ask that question. Identify yourself. I know you already. But for the record, let's identify yourself. We know who you are.
Yeah. So I'm Tristan. I'm with First Coast News, Channel 12 in Jacksonville. This question's to the brother. I just want to know, what is the Camden County Jail like? I mean, what's your experience there? I mean, I've never been there. You were there. Like, give the viewers an opportunity to get a taste or a glimpse of what's it like inside.
You want to know the environment, what type of environment it is?
It's a place where they make their own rules and whatever they say goes. Once you come through that door, it's basically, it's their rules and this is what it is. If you don't do what they want, yeah, this is the type of things that happen. And there's just certain incidents that have made it to be revealed. There's multiple incidents because I've been to this jail a few times from 2017 till now, and I myself have seen over 30 incidents that I know none of them have came to the light, just me.
Why do you think it's so bad in there? Like, kind of, what's the mindset you think the guards have?
Well, I think it's a lack of accountability. And what is beginning to happen now, we thought after arrests and indictments that those officers within the jail will have some sense of this is something that we shouldn't be doing. But evidently there are still some officers in there after indictment of other officers that still feel like they can be bullies inside that jail. And to answer your question for is the culture in there. For some reason, they got my telephone, inmates have my telephone numbers inside the jail. I get calls all the time about certain incidents that's happening within the jail. And so it's bad in there. We just left the jail. Rashad Pinckney was involved in an incident with another officer that's been terminated on last week. He's a mental health patient. His family is over there now trying to get him medication and trying to see him. Nobody notified his family. He's a victim. Nobody notified his family that he was assaulted by an officer. So that's the culture inside the jail.
What happened in that incident exactly?
It's the Pinckney incident.
Yes, sir.
The Pinckney incident, I was notified by District Attorney Higgins that the GBI, he called the GBI in to investigate that particular incident. And I spoke with the sheriff on yesterday because I wanted to know what happened with this particular officer. And the sheriff told me that the officer was terminated after he viewed the video. He terminated the officer.
We don't know the exact details, but we do know that it was egregious enough for the district attorney to get the Georgia Bureau investigation to come in. So it's something that's pretty severe that happened.
In a perfect world, how is this resolved over the next couple of months, couple of years?
We don't live in a perfect world, so I can't answer that question. But I would tell you this, as a person who worked in law enforcement, you understand when you come inside the sheriff's office, anybody's coming there has a presumption of innocence. This is not a prison camp. It's a sheriff's office. The sheriff got one job, is to make sure you're safe and you get to court. Safety in court. That's their job. There's no convictions, there's no corrections, but these are punitives, beatings, placed inside of restraint chairs, bleeding. Perfect world, it never happens. Perfect world that the sheriff follow sheriff standards. Protect inmates so they go to court. If they're convicted, they go to prison. If they're not, they go home. That's a perfect world.
In cases where y'all have,
Man, you got a deep voice, but I can barely hear it though.
in cases where y'all have documented photo evidence, what are you told as the NAACP president and you as the representing attorney told about these specific incidents from the sheriff's office?
Well, let me pray. Mr. Benson, he speak to him. I don't speak with him. I don't speak to the sheriff, I speak to their representatives as such, because eventually they become defendants in matters. So that's for that standpoint. We don't have a conversation. Mr. Best should speak to him. As his job as an activist in NAACP, that's their community activist. But let me flesh out something for you. This happened in 2021. If an indictment, a conviction happens in 2021 of what they did to him, hell, you may not have Jared Hobbs, you may not have LaToya James, you may not have Adam Drummond, you may have Zaire, because when you don't have accountability, if I keep hitting Mr. Bessett, he does nothing, I'm gonna keep doing it. But in this case, I pushed, got charged, and they still doing it. Culture. Because if the sheriff, he said administrator, I don't care about administrator, I go straight to the top, the elected official. He's responsible for it. If the sheriff do not step up and do his job and hold people accountable, how can he support and protect the citizens of Camden County? Other question? Got a camouflage on his shoulder.
I'll ask. This one's Mr. Bessett Sr. So you get multiple phone calls from inmates from the Camden County Jail. What is that experience like for you? I mean, you hear these stories all the time. You get these phone calls. What does that do to you?
Well, it's very exhausting. Seems like on a weekly basis, we always getting phone calls, so it's very exhausting. And I try to have them to seek out counsel. And when you're inside that jail, you're really at the mercy of the correctional officer over there, and especially if you are inmate that don't have a lot of resources, so you at their mercy.
Who all do you guys have with you today? Just so we know who's holding the pictures and story behind.
There's supporters in the community, supporters who stand in support, and the activists, and I always appreciate the activists and the people, because they don't get paid to do this. They want to play their part, or be on the right side of history and justice for people. So they are activists in the community. You have any other questions?
Do you have a message to the sheriff?
Do I have a message to them? You guys say. The message is clear. Uphold your oath. Do right. Do what you promised the folks of Camden County you should do. You should have one-day suspensions for people to commit criminal acts is appalling. You are complicit in the environment. Stand up. You just terminated somebody. That should have happened a long time ago. Do right. That's it. If you do right, things like this don't happen. And I understand that the sheriff cannot be there every single day. I understand that. When I worked in law enforcement, the head administrator is not there every single day. But what you do, like when I was young, my mom would leave the house and she'd tell me something, I did it. Because if I didn't do it, consequences gonna come. She didn't have to be there. Consequences, results. That's all I answered. That's the message.
Do we have any idea of a timeline of how this is going to go moving forward in terms of the legal process that we might actually see in court?
Which case? Mr. Drummond's case is already in court. So his case is already in court. He's already represented by some great lawyers already. His case is already proceeding through the federal courts. Mr. Hobbs' case, the case has resolved. These two individuals, stay tuned. So it's coming soon. Any other questions?
So y'all are planning on filing 2 other suits?
So if it's raining. It's raining hard enough. Any other questions?
And those suits will be filed independently?
We'll see. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for coming out here. Thank you. Y'all take shots, some of these pictures for y'all cameras. People with the pictures, y'all go up so they can see these pictures.
I want to know how I properly say it. Blanchard. There we go. Not the Fletcher $40 from Texas. Okay. Thank you very much, sir. May I see? Don't mind me. I don't have business cards. Oh, yeah. May I text you my business cards that way y'all can I'll text it to you.
And it's going to send you a text message saying, hey, this is Christmas, but you're going to have to wait to get it. And it has my email, my cell phone.
Yes. 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 Actually, thank you. Thank you.